Shalom, Israel. It's going down. It's that time again. Come join us at the 49th annual Passover.
Shalom, this is Captain Baltazar of the I.S.U.P.K. down here in Atlanta, Georgia, inviting you to the I.S.U.P.K's 49th annual Passover. You understand? Passover this year will be held on March 30th at the Roosevelt Ballroom. It's the 2nd Hudson Street, Yonkers, New York. We inviting all blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians to this year's Passover in the spirit of brotherhood. That's what the Passover is about. That's what the I.S.U.P.K. is about. It's brotherhood. You understand? That, Shalom.
Come join us March 30th at sundown.
All Israel is invited
For the 49th annual Feast of the Passover, brought to you by Commandant General YAHANNA and the I.S.U.P.K. So you better not miss it. Shalom.
As it says in Ezra. And we're going to touch on today is a very important topic, a very heavy topic, and it's a topic that the world thinks they understand. What is this topic? This topic is about the Gentiles, and this topic is about who salvation is for. The known world believes that the Gentiles are talking about people from every race that believe in God. They believe in the idea of salvation through who they call Jesus Christ. Okay, the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ's name, of course, is Yahawashi. Okay, Yahawashi Mashiach. All right, is his real name. But the world believes that they can be saved if they believe in him. What we're going to prove is that the Gentiles that can be saved are the Israelites. Okay. First, in the Zondervands, let me hold where you're at in Hellenist. Let me get the definition of Gentile in the Zondervands. All right, so you go to G. All right, let me get the definition of the word Gentile. All right, the definition of the word Gentile is going to tell you a lot about who is talking about in some context. All right. Once again, we're the I.S.U.K. We're proving that is that salvation is only for you blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. You so-called First Nations suffering, starving, and being murdered on the Native Indian reservations. You so-called black man, the so-called black man in Ajax, so-called black man in Nova Scotia. Salvation is for you, man. So-called Hispanic man in Canada, right? Salvation is for you, and it's for no one else. It's for you exclusively. Okay, we get Gentiles in the Zondervands. Okay, we're going to prove that once again the Gentiles in the scriptures that could be saved, that could come back, etc. Those were Israelites that were living like Gentiles, like people of the other nations. All right, we're going to prove with the definition. Read the definition. Gentiles. Get to the highlighted part.
Gentiles sometimes refers to Israel.
What?
Israel.
What?
Israel.
Sometimes refers to who?
Israel.
Okay, so the word Gentiles sometimes refers to Israel. Now go back to Hellenist. Hellenist. Go back to Hellenist. And I have hold Hellenist for when I need it. But right there, in the definition of the word Gentiles, it says sometimes it was referring to Israelites. The word Gentiles is just means nations, okay, or goyim in Hebrew. It just means nations. That's all it means. Like in America, Belgium, and Finland, in this world, the Most High has a people that He has chosen, Israel, and then He has people that He calls the nations, which is just everyone else. There's Israel, and then there's everyone else, which are thought of to Him as spittle. That's in Isaiah 48:15. Right. But when we live like those people, we're called Gentiles. We're called the nations, man. Because you couldn't look at us and tell that we were Israel. You couldn't look at us with our Muslim dresses on. You couldn't look at us with our clean face and pork between our teeth. You couldn't look at us on a stripper pole and tell that we were Yasher Allah or Israel, man. Right. We were just like the other nations, like white women are on stripper poles. Like the white woman is the damn original hoe on the earth. The biggest hoe on the planet Earth. That's the damn white woman and the damn African woman. That's right. We do that. We take on those people, and we are called Canadians, right? Called Americans. We're living like those people. Let me get Deuteronomy 27:1.
Come on, sir. Deuteronomy 27, verse 1. And Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying.
The first thing you need to understand is that most of the Bible, all of the Bible, is talking specifically to the Israelites. You go to Deuteronomy, any chapter, and it will say Moses spake unto Israel. Moses spake with Israel. Moses commanded Israel. Most High said to Moses, speak to Israel. This message, the book, the entire book from cover to cover is only talking about the Israelites. Okay? From front to back, cover to cover. What we're going to do is we're going to prove that this book is only talking about the Israelites. The people that had left, who could come back, were the Israelites living like Canadians. Right. Were the Israelites living like Americans. Were the Israelites living like whoever else were around. Okay, keep reading.
Keep all the commandments which I command you this day.
That's verse 1. Skip to verse 15.
Sir. Cursed be the man that maketh any graven or molten image, an abomination unto the Lord, the work of the hands.
Cursed be any man that maketh a graven image, okay, but something in the likeness of anything on earth or anything above. I mean, what? A graven image. This is a graven image, literally. This is a graven image. This is something that was engraved, right? It was etched out. Now, is this an idol? Hell no, because I don't worship the damn thing. We put juice in it, and we drink juice out of it. That's all it's good for. Right. Okay? This, we put wine in it, we drink wine out of it. When you make a cup to worship it, this cup becomes a idol. Right. When you make graven images, when you etch things and worship them, that is an idol. You cannot do that, man. And because we've done that, we've been cast off as a people. Because we've done that, now we're in Halifax. Because we've done that, now we're in Ajax in Toronto. Because we've done that, now we're in Vancouver and Detroit and Chicago and Tegucigalpa and London and Spain, man. Now we've been cast off to all those places because we served other gods. That's right. Keep reading. Tell me when you finish verse 15.
Craftsmen, and put it into a secret place. Salakia. And all the people shall answer and say, Amen.
All the people that answer shall answer and say, so be it. You know what? This is true. This is going to happen. Curse be him that does that. What's the curse? What are the curses that came upon us because we chose to serve other gods? Serve Santa Claus. Serve the white man in his damn Thanksgiving. Go out with candy, dressed like a cartoon character, begging. Go to Deuteronomy 28:46.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 46.
Go ahead.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
These curses, right, for serving other gods, will be on us. It will be on the Israelites for a sign and for a wonder. Meaning what? These curses were going to be on us, so we would be able to see, oh, look, here are the Israelites. Oh, look, those are the people the Most High cursed. That's right. Based off these signs, based off these curses, based off these signs and wonders, these things that you'll see, these things that are on this people. That's right. What is one of these curses? Read Deuteronomy 28 and we get 64.
Deuteronomy 28 and 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee.
Shall what?
Scatter thee.
Shall what?
Scatter thee.
It said the Most High will scatter us, will move us. That is one of the curses. It's one of the signs and wonders. One of the signs and wonders of the Israelites is that they would be scattered. Read.
Among all the people.
Among who?
All the people.
Among some people.
All the people.
Few people.
All the people.
One of the curses that would be on the Israelites, one of the signs would be that they would be scattered among all people, among all nations, right? The word for Gentile just means nation. That's right. They would be scattered among all nations, among the Gentiles, and because they were living like them, they would be called after those people, right? There's only 4 of you, and there's 40,000, you know, of white people. That's right. There's 4 of you and 100,000 Chinese, that's right, so-called Chinese. You're called after those people because you're amongst them, living like them. Well, the sign of the curses, or sign that a specific group of people of the Israelites is that they are scattered. And who's more scattered than the so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man? I can't buy a ticket to this day and go to the country black. I can't buy a ticket to this day and go to a country where Israelites control, Israelites rule. Right. You could say, oh, well, the Hispanics are Israelites because Guatemala is run by Guatemalans. No, the hell it's not. It's run by the same people that ran it since Ferdinand Cortez got there. Right. All you got to do is do your damn history. Those are the same exact families that are ruling the place, And Guatemala is ruled by who? The United States government, man.
Right.
Bolivia, ruled by the United States government. We don't have a country we can go to that's our own. Why? Because we were scattered amongst the nations. Read.
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other end.
All across the earth we will be scattered, man. All across Canada we are scattered.
Right.
That's a curse on us, man. We're all across Canada. In small pockets in Canada, amongst a sea of devils, so-called white people.
That's right.
A sea of Africans. Rat-eating Africans. We're in a sea of them. Stinky, don't take a shower after sex. Africans, man.
Damn right.
Cutting clitoris off Africans. They outnumber you, man. They're more than you. Because you were cursed. One of those curses is you'll be scattered amongst all nations, amongst the Gentiles. Keep reading.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
There thou shalt what?
Serve other gods.
You will serve other gods. You'll be like everyone else. Right. So after a while, what happened was, after being like everyone else, we began to be called everybody else.
That's right.
The nations.
Right.
It's just everyone else. It's Israel and those the nations. We began to be called everyone else because we were scattered amongst the people, acting like the people. This is a precept for the Gentiles in the New Testament. Period. Keep reading.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
That neither thou nor thy fathers have known. Your fathers didn't know Christmas. You so-called Native Americans in Canada. Your fathers didn't know Thanksgiving. It goes for you too, so-called Negro in Halifax. So-called Negro in Ajax, in Toronto.
That's right.
Your fathers didn't know these. Your fathers knew the Passover. Your fathers knew the Feast of Tabernacles.
Right.
Your fathers knew the Feast of Hanukkah.
Right.
Okay? That's what your fathers knew. Is that the end of verse 64?
Even wood and stone.
Even what?
Even wood and stone.
Even what?
Even wood and stone.
It's a curse to be a Christian.
That's right.
We just proved it, literally. It's literally a curse to be a Christian. The cross is, their cross that they worship as an idol is made of what? Wood. And it's a curse to be a Muslim, a holy, righteous Muslim. It's a curse. That's a curse.
Right.
Okay? To be kissing and gay and feminine. Right, and selling drugs and murdering your own people because they don't believe that you should only keep half the law. You don't eat pork, but you eat shellfish. Man, give me a damn break. It's a damn joke, man. And you lie, and you're told to lie, and you're told to lie. You're told to lie to your husband if you're lying with another man.
Right.
Like they're told you can lie to preserve your life. How gay is that? You Muslims, that's a curse, man. That's a curse. And it was put on the Israelites to serve gods of wood and stone. Wood is Christianity. Islam is the stone, the Kaaba stone. And it's a damn curse. Okay? And why are you Muslim? Why are you Christian? Because you're scattered amongst the nations. That's the only reason why you're Muslim and Christian. Not because it's a great idea, not because you benefit from it, because you're amongst white people and you choose to be like them. Let me get 2 Kings 17-22. All right, that's a precept for the Gentiles, really, right there. One scripture proves that the Gentiles that could be saved were the Israelites scattered amongst all nations, the people that were cursed. Those people could be brought back from the curse. We're going to prove now this next scripture is that the so-called Native American Indians, that's right, that you so-called Native American Indians in Canada, you are from the Middle East. You're from the land of Israel. You're not from the damn Bering Strait. That was a myth that was made up by Jose de Acosta, I believe in the 1500s. Jose de Acosta came up with the myth, the idea that so-called Native Americans walked across an ice bridge connecting Siberia or Russia to Alaska. When there was never an ice bridge connecting Siberia to Alaska, and no one walks that goddamn far north and lives today. With today's technology, no one walks that far and lives. Okay, that's a dumb idea, right? Made up by the devil, the liar. The devil means liar, deceiver. The white man is the devil. He is a liar, right? We're going to prove is that you so-called First Nations, you so-called Native Americans in Canada, you so-called Hispanics in Canada, you got here on boats from the Middle East. Boats from Israel, you were the Israelites. Read 2 Kings 17:22.
2 Kings 17, verse 22. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam.
Right, children of Israel. In this context, the children of Israel are talking about the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans. The so-called Negro, right, West Indian Negro, American Negro, and Haitian Negro were made up the children of Judah, made up the tribe of the nation of Judah, the Southern Kingdom. Northern Kingdom were made up of the so-called Hispanics and Native American Indians. This was after Solomon died because of the split, because he was having sex with white women, African women. Because of that, we split up, and now we're scattered all across the earth because we broke the laws, statutes, and commandments.
Right, which he did, they departed not from them.
Right, the sins that Jeroboam did, Jeroboam was a so-called Puerto Rican, the sins that he did, the other so-called Hispanics and Native American Indians didn't stop doing. So what happened to them? Keep going.
23. Until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight.
So the Lord did what?
Removed Israel out of his sight.
He removed Laughing Bear. He removed Juan. He removed Jorge. He removed the Iroquois, the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, removed them out of his sight. So-called Brazilians, he removed them out of their sight. He kicked them out of their land, their homeland. This is what you do with any bad kid that just simply that will continue to not listen. You kick him out.
That's right.
Okay, good parent would. When you're giving him sound advice, that being according to the laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay, the so-called Hispanics and Native Indians were kicked out of the land of Israel first. Then, a few hundred years later, in 70 AD, the so-called Negroes were kicked out of Israel. Now, everyone's a damn Gentile, man. The so-called Negro and the so-called Hispanic and the so-called Native American Indian are all Gentiles. But at this time, so-called Hispanics were kicked out of the land of Israel, not the land of Siberia. Read.
As he had said by all his servants, the prophets, so was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
Israel was carried into their own land unto Assyria unto this day. It says about Israel, or the people of the world call the so-called 10 tribes, right, or the northern kingdom. It was said that they were carried to Assyria today. Now, who are the 10 tribes? Where are they today? Let me get 2 Ezra 13 and 40. 2 Ezra 13 and 40. What we say, which is what the Bible says, what the Bible's about to prove, the so-called 10 tribes are the Native American Indians here in North, South, and Central America, and their descendants, which are who? The so-called Native American Indians and the so-called Hispanics. Okay? Their descendants.
Second,
all right? And they're the so-called Hispanic, so-called Native American Indian, their ancestors got here off of boats from the land of Israel. Prove it. Read.
2 Ezra 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king whom Salmanasseh, the king of Assyria, led away.
King of Assyria. Remember it said in 2 Kings 17:22, they were carried away to the land of Assyria. Let's see where they, unto this day, this very day, the 10 tribes are in a place where they were from the land of Assyria. They're in a place that they got to from the land of Assyria, or modern day Iraq, in that area. Let's see where they went. Read.
Captive, and carried them over the waters.
Over the what?
Over the waters.
Over the Bering Ice Bridge.
Over the waters.
Over the Bering Strait.
Over the waters.
Over the Ice Bridge.
Over the waters.
Over the waters. You so-called Hispanics, you so-called First Nations in Canada, you got here on water, on boats from the land of Assyria, present-day Iraq, Euphrates River. Where'd you go from the Euphrates River, Reed?
And so came they into another land.
Into a what?
Into another land.
Into a what?
Into another land.
Read.
41. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
They didn't want to be amongst all nations. They were tired of being amongst Saddam Hussein and Kim Kardashian. Man.
Right.
They're tired of being amongst the damn Assyrians. They want to be amongst their own people. They took this council. They sat down amongst themselves. These were Puerto Ricans, Native American Indians, so-called Guatemalans, so-called Mexicans. They sat together by the so-called First Nations in Canada. First Nations people in Canada, they all sat together,
right,
and they had a discussion. They don't want to be amongst Kim Kardashian and Saddam Hussein anymore. Read. Let's see what they came up with.
And go forth into a further country.
A what?
A further country.
They're in the Middle East, right? We know most of the known world all of it's connected to a land known as the Middle East. You got Asia, Europe, Africa, right? All of it's connected to one huge landmass. There's another very large landmass that is not connected to that, though. That's right. Read.
Where never mankind dwelt.
And this large landmass, this further country, was a place where mankind did not dwell before, did not live before. You look up the place in the earth with most of the dinosaur fossils, right, giant dinosaur fossils that were found. Most of them were found in America, man.
That's right.
America. Why were creatures this large running around? Because there's no man here. They didn't have, people to kill the woolly mammoths and stuff like and things like that. The large, the different animals that have since been domesticated. There was no man to do that, so these creatures just grew and got wild and were huge. They're large monsters, if you will, or beasts, very large animals, right? Why was that? Because this place was a far place where never mankind dwelt. That place, far country where never mankind dwelt, was America. How do we know that? When the white man got here, what did he call it? He called it the New World. For a certain time, many of the people in Europe didn't know that America existed. Didn't know that there was a land farther than Europe. But the man that did find it, the man that went to America, Christopher Columbus, did not find America by accident. He found America by using this scripture we are reading right now.
That's right.
It says in the book, I can't remember which book it was, it's on the journeys of Christopher Columbus. It said that he had a fond interest in the fourth book of Esdras. The fourth book of Esdras is essentially what is actually called Second Esdras. And he had an obsession with finding the 10 tribes to make them slaves, of course. That's right. Because he knew when you oppress the children of Israel, when you sit upon the congregation, upon the mount, you rule the world.
Damn right.
Keep reading.
42. That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
This further country being America, they thought they would go there to keep their statutes, but they didn't keep in their own land. When they came over here, the First Nations were worshiping totem poles. First Nations were burning incense to other gods with the rain dance, not burning incense to the Most High. When as the Lord or Yahweh in the Hebrew, they weren't burning incense to Him. They were burning incense to whatever. Okay, over here in South and Central America. Keep reading.
43. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river.
Entered into the river Euphrates. That's the so-called Hispanics and Native Indians. We'll keep going.
44. For the Most High then shewed signs for them and held still the flood.
Held still the flood. What is that flood? The Atlantic Ocean, man, which is a damn extremely turbulent ocean.
Right.
Okay, the Atlantic Ocean is a nightmare for sailors to this day. Keep going.
So
but the Atlantic Ocean was held still. Okay, it was calm. Go ahead.
So they were passed over.
So they passed the Atlantic Ocean. Keep going.
45. For through that country there was a great way.
Through that country, Syria, there was a great way to go. Go ahead.
Namely, of a year and a half.
Of a what?
Of a year and a half.
Of a year and a half. It doesn't take a year and a half to go to Turkey from Iraq.
Right.
It takes a year and a half to go through the Euphrates, around Africa, to South America, which is where you so-called First Nations got to first, where you so-called Hispanics and Native Indians got to first. How do we know that's where you got to first? Where all the famous ancient being oldest Native American civilizations? Are they in Alaska? Are they in Russia? No. They're in South America, the Incas, Aztecs, etc. Olmecs, many of that's in South and Central America because that's where you got to first. All right, that's the proof. You so-called First Nations, you so-called Hispanics and Native Indians, you got here on boats from the land of Assyria, from the Middle East. You were Israelites. You were people that were cast away. Right. Now you're amongst all nations. You are the Gentiles, man. You're the Gentiles, First Nation, Native Indian camp, but you are the Gentiles. And now, so is the so-called black man in Halifax. So is the so-called black man in Vancouver. All Israelites who are not living as Israelites are thought of as Gentiles to the Most High. All right? Drop 2 Kings 17th chapter. Let me get Jeremiah 15:17. Get Jeremiah 15:17. We just proved that is that the so-called Gentiles that can be saved are you so-called First Nations. The so-called Gentiles that can be saved, you so-called Puerto Ricans. Now it's the so-called Negro, so-called Haitian, so-called West Indian. All Israelites can be saved. Read.
Jeremiah 15. Oh,
Jeremiah 15:17. Because Jeremiah 15:17. All Israel can be saved. And that's what Paul wanted, man. And that's what we want. We want you to stop smoking weed. We want you to stop having sex with whores. We want you to stop serving gods of wood and stone. We want you to get out of the Christian church and the Muslim mosque to experience what we experience, which is excellent.
That's right.
Read.
Jeremiah 50, verse 17. Israel is a scattered sheep.
Is a what?
Is a scattered sheep.
Is a what?
Is a scattered sheep.
Israel is a scattered sheep, a scattered flock. Go ahead.
The lions have driven him away.
Lions have driven him away, man. The heathen, which have preyed upon us like lions on sheep. The white man preys on you in the highway of tears, you so-called First Nations women. White man preys on you in Native American Indian reservations. Don't tell me the white man's not a damn lion. It's like a lion to us and we're sheep. We're like a prey, man. We're scattered sheep. Who else is a scattered sheep? But the so-called First Nations in Canada. The so-called Negro in Halifax. The so-called Negro in Toronto. Keep going.
First, the king of Assyria has devoured him.
First, the king of Assyria devoured him, destroyed us. Go ahead.
And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has broken his bones.
Now Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, broke our bones, man. The point is that we're a scattered sheep. James 1:1, we're a sheep preyed upon by the heathens, man. But there's going to be a time, you so-called First Nations in Canada, you won't be a prey to the damn white man anymore. There's coming a time you won't be a prey to the other nations, to the damn Canadian government, to the U.S. government, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man. But there's a time coming when justice will be served to the people that have preyed upon you. Justice will be served to the man that murdered your daughter. Justice will be served by the Most High power, man. When you realize God, because you are his people and he loves you, man. And he loves you, he's going to take justice those that hurt you. Even though you're a Gentile. Even though, meaning what? Even though you live like a damn Canadian. Even though you live like an American. You come back as Israel, act accordingly. Act, meaning what? Act as you are. Act according to your bloodline, which is Israel. You can come back. It's just that simple. Those are the Gentiles that can be saved. Now, the Gentiles, plenty of Gentiles, right? Everyone else is going into slavery or they're going to die in the Third World War. Why? Because they preyed upon the so-called First Nations in Canada. They preyed upon the so-called Native American Indian in Canada. They preyed upon the so-called black man in Halifax, so-called black man in Canada. Now, it's time for them, high time for them to be preyed upon. That's going to happen. While they're being preyed upon, the Gentiles will be saved, will be brought back. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians living like white people, living like Africans, you'll be saved in the midst of the white man's destruction, his kingdom's destruction, man. The destruction of Canada and the entire empire of the so-called white man. Okay? James 1:1. All right? The New Testament, James 1:1. All right? What we're going to do is we're going to go into the Bible to prove the Gentiles can be saved, the so-called Hispanics, the so-called Native American Indians, and the so-called black man, and no one else. Okay? White man is not going to be saved. The white man, the only thing the white man is going to be saved for, he's going to be saved for farming duty. White woman is going to be saved, left alive for laundry detail. Okay, that is it. Other than that, they're going to be punished for what they did to you so-called First Nations in Canada. Punished for, just look up in the table of contents. Yeah, punished for what they did to the so-called black man. Okay, it's in the New Testament. All right? We're going to get James 1:1 in the New Testament to show what was the message of the New Testament. What did Paul come to do? Did Paul come to save white people and black people and Chinese people and Arabs? Hell no. We're going to prove this that Paul's mission was to go and gather the scattered sheep, which is what you know as Jesus or Yahushua in the Hebrew. That is what he sent Paul to do. That's what he called Paul to do, to go and get the scattered sheep. The scattered sheep, or who else? No one else but the house of Israel. Matthew 15:24 says this: I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. There's no this mission of gathering anyone. This mission of gathering, is not to get anyone, but the so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, wherever he is scattered on the planet Earth, wherever he was brought to, is our job as servants of Christ or Yahushua to go and find him and to get them. Okay? James 1:1, read.
Come. James 1 verse 1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad greeting.
Which are what?
Scattered abroad greeting.
The 12 tribes scattered abroad in Toronto, in Canada, in America, in Guatemala, in Puerto Rico. To you, James said greeting. He didn't say greeting to the white man. He didn't say greeting to the Arabs, to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. The New Testament is written for you, for your salvation, for your teaching, okay, for your healing. That's what the New Testament is for. It's going to be Acts 11:19. The book of Acts, the 11th chapter, 19th verse. The entire point of the New Testament was to bring back Israelites living like Greeks. Israelites living like heathens, like people of the other nations. The same way you so-called First Nations, you so-called Native American Indians live like white people. The same way you so-called Métis, right, live like the white man, live like the Chinese man, the East Indian man, the Canadian. The same way you live like damn Canadians, man. The same way you're called Canadians. You're not Canadians, but you're Israelites. You so-called blacks, Hispanic, Native American Indians. Read Acts 11:19. Acts 11:19. More scriptures to prove that the Gentiles that can be saved are Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians living like Canadians. Living like Americans. Read.
Acts 11, verse 19. Now they which were scattered abroad,
So what?
scattered abroad
Scattered abroad. Go ahead.
upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenice.
Travel. As far as Phoenice. Go ahead.
And Cyrus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only.
They did preaching unto who?
The Jews only.
Who?
The Jews
So
only.
they went as far as Cyprus and as far as Phoenicia, out of Israel, if you will. Came out of the land as far as Cyprus and as far as Phoenicia, doing what? Doing nothing but speaking to the Jews only. How are the Jews out there? Let me get 1 Maccabees. Get 1 Maccabees 3:41. 1 Maccabees 3:41. How do they go outside of the land of Israel and go and teach the Jews? How do the Jews get there? How are the Jews out there? Living like Greeks. Living like Grecians, living like Macedonians, living like the other nations. How do they get out there? Read.
Maccabees.
1 Maccabees.
1 Maccabees 3, verse 41. And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold, very much with servants, and came into the camp to buy the children of Israel for slaves.
For what?
For slaves.
For what?
For slaves.
Who did they buy?
Slaves.
Who did they buy?
Slaves.
Who was it though?
Salakia, the children of Israel.
They bought the children of Israel as slaves. This is 1 Maccabees during the time of Judas Maccabee, a so-called black man who went to war against the Greeks, the so-called white man, okay, and won because the Messiah was with him. During the time of his battle, merchants began to hear the fame of us, of the children of Israel at the time of this war, and they went down to buy Israelites as slaves. Now, who are these people? Where do they live, though?
A power also of Syria and of the land of Philistines joined themselves into them.
Keep reading.
42. Now when Judas and his brethren saw the miseries were multiplied, and that the forces did encamp themselves in their borders.
It's like that was it. verse 41, it said the merchants came to buy the children of Israel as slaves. And Acts 11 and 19, why were they going to Cyprus? How did they go to Phoenicia and still find Jews? Because those Jews were brought there as slaves.
Right.
Thousands of Jews were brought to various slave markets in Syria and slave markets in Rome.
Right.
Okay, we're scattered throughout Rome and throughout Cyprus and throughout Phoenicia. That's why Paul went to Rome, man, to go and find Israelites, Negroes living in Rome. Hispanics and Native Indians living in Rome thousands of years ago. All right? Is that it on Acts 11 to 19?
Kind of.
Okay, let me get Romans 1 and 16.
Kind of.
We get Romans 1 and 16.
Kind
To get more scriptures to prove how Israelites became Gentiles, became called Gentiles. We found that was through slavery, and that was through, with the case of the 10 tribes and so-called Hispanics and Native Indians, that was through them leaving to go to America. Okay, and then now, at this point, they're scattered amongst the nations, living like heathens, right? And called other nations, Gentiles, called Canadians, called Americans, called Guatemalans. They're Israelites. Read. Romans 1, 16.
Romans chapter 1, verse 16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God. It is the power of the power unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek.
Also to the who?
Greek.
Also to the who?
Greek.
Uh-oh, it sounds like now the Jews, not like the Jews be saved, but the Greeks. So I guess Charles Barkley and Taylor Swift are going to get together in the kingdom. They can both believe. They'll both be in the same spot, in the same location. We're going to prove that's a damn lie. We get Hellenists, man. Who are the Greeks that Paul is speaking of here? Get Hellenists in the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Read.
Hellenists, non-Greeks who spoke Greek.
This is in the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. The definition of Hellenist is what?
A non-Greek who spoke Greek.
So first of all, this Hellenists, these Greeks, are talking about people that are not Greek, but they speak Greek. Okay? You so-called First Nations, you're not French.
Right.
But you speak French.
Right.
You're not English, but you speak English. Read.
That's right. A term used specially of Jews.
Of what?
Of Jews.
Of who?
Of Jews.
A term used specially for Jews. Go ahead.
Who made Greek their tongue.
Who made what their tongue?
Greek their tongue.
Who made Greek their tongue. They were called Greeks for the simple fact that these were black people that spoke Greek. It was talking about what? Black people or Jews, Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians in the land of Israel, living like Israelites,
right.
And blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians speaking Greek.
That's right.
Acting like the Greeks. That's what a Hellenist is. That's what a Greek is. That's what it's talking about. That's why when Paul said everyone that believes a Jew first and then the Greek, he's talking about Israelites living in Israel as Israelites and Israelites living in Greece, living in as Israelites. To everyone that believeth. People now today that know their Israel and the people today that live like the so-called white man in Canada. And the people that live like the Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians live like Americans. They live like Guatemalans. They live like Argentinians, etc. Live like Brazilians. All right? Get back to Romans. Let me get Hosea 8 and 8.
Come. Hosea 8 and 8.
Let me get Ezekiel 36:16.
Come.
Okay, let me get Ezekiel 36:16. Once again, more scripture has been proving the so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native American Indian man living like a Canadian, you're a Gentile. So-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man living like an American, you're a Gentile. Okay? And the message of the New Testament is only for you. The message of the Bible is written only for you. How do you know that? You pull almost any chapter of Deuteronomy, the first verse of that chapter is what? Speaking to the children of Israel. This is a text for you blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, man, and no one else.
That's right.
See what it says. It's more on what it says about the Gentiles. Read.
Come. Ezekiel 36, verse 16. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings.
They did what?
They defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. Their ways was before me, as the uncleanliness of a removed woman.
It was like a woman on her monthly, on her menstrual. It was like a woman bleeding. In our own land, we defiled it. In our own land, we committed adultery, having sex with other brothers and women. We were prostitutes. We were strippers. We were whores in our own land, eating pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. Read.
18. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it.
Read verse 21.
But I had pity for my But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went.
See that? Read it again.
But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen.
That's the New Testament, man. We left in the Old Testament. We left, went off, committed whoredoms. We what? Served other gods. Having sex with white women, Chinese women. So the Most High kicked us the hell out. Most High kicked us out, but then he had pity on his holy name. Because he called us Israel. He had a contract with us, and he pitied us for that. And so in the New Testament, he brought us back to what he'd given us originally. That's all it's about. That's all the New Testament is about. Let me get John 7:35. Bringing the people back to something that was originally theirs. If I write a letter, and I give that letter to my son, right? And then that letter is then stolen and given to all the kids on the block. Was that letter intended for all the kids? Hell no, because I gave it to my son for him only. I'll make it better for you. If I write a letter to someone, inviting them to a party, and they're beaten up, and that letter's taken from them. And then that letter's given to everyone in the city. Is everyone in the city invited to the party? No, I invited him.
That's right.
But the letter was stolen by thieves. This letter was stolen by thieves and applied to everyone on the block. And it's only given to one person, one man. That man was Israel and his descendants only.
Right.
Okay? The whole letter. All right? Read.
John 7:35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will we go, that we shall not find him?
Read.
Will he go unto dispersed among the Gentiles?
The what?
Dispersed among the Gentiles?
The what?
The Gentiles?
The dispersed. We go to the dispersed among the Gentiles. We go to the Israelites amongst the white man, amongst the Canadians, amongst the Americans. Read.
And teach the Gentiles.
And when he teaches it, is he going to teach the white man?
Right.
Is he going to teach the Chinese? Is he going to teach the Arab? The Sadducees and Pharisees were asking themselves this question. When as Jesus was talking, is he going to go and teach the white people too? They didn't understand his message, and his message still isn't understood by Christians and by the masses of society. Okay. He went to go teach, to go save the lost sheep of the house of Israel. In Matthew 15:24, that's what it says. So we get Hosea 8:8. Hosea 8:8. They're asking amongst themselves, is he going to go teach the so-called First Nations and the so-called white man? Is he going to go and teach the black man in Halifax and the African and the Somalian? Hell no. He went to go teach Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians only. I'm going to prove that here. Hosea 8:8. All right, you can look up the table of contents, you can't find it. Right. Hosea 8:8. I'm going to go and use that. Once again, 5 scriptures. Find the truth according to the Bible about who the Gentiles are. Right. Gentiles are not white people. Gentiles are not Africans. Right. Not who else? Australians. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians only. Hosea 8:8.
Hosea chapter 8, verse 8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles.
Now shall they be what?
Be amongst the Gentiles.
They're swallowed up. Now they shall be among the Gentiles, among the white man, among the African. Okay, among the Chinese man, which is what we are now today. Because we act like them, now we're called after their names. Now we're called Americans, African Americans. Now we're called Afro-Canadians. Now we're called, First Nations, right? Or Indigenous Canadians. Now we're called after the names of the Gentiles. We were scattered amongst them because we were swallowed up. Keep going.
As a vessel wherein is no pleasure.
As a vessel wherein is no pleasure. You're swallowed up. We were scattered. We were like a vessel wherein is no pleasure. There's no pleasure here in Canada.
Right.
There's no pleasure in Halifax where we live. No pleasure on the highway in Tears.
Right.
No pleasure in Ajax. No pleasure where we've been scattered amongst the heathen, man. To curse. Deuteronomy 28:64. It's one of the curses. Don't stay where you're at. That's one of the curses, though. That's right. All right. You get Acts 15 and 22. Acts 15 all right. You get a few more scriptures on who the Gentiles are. Who are the Gentiles that can be saved? Gentiles is one, talking about heathens, meaning people that are not Black, Hispanic, Native Indian. Two, it is a word that is sometimes used to refer to Israelites, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Okay, Gentiles can be saved. Gentiles can be brought back. The Gentiles that were taught that can come back through belief are no one but the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, the people that the letter was written to, for, and by. All right, read.
Acts 15, verse 22. Then pleased it the apostle and elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to an Antioch with Paul and Barnabas.
Why don't they go to Antioch? Why? Because you read it, First Maccabees 3:41, but that the heathen came to purchase the children of Israel as slaves. They purchased them as slaves, and therefore they were scattered throughout Asia Minor, throughout Turkey and Cyprus and those islands off of Turkey and off of the so-called land, so-called the country of Israel today, Palestine, etc. All right, read.
Namely, Judas, surnamed Barnabas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren.
Silas, go ahead.
23. And they wrote letters by them after this manner. The apostle and elders and brethren send greeting unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles in Antioch.
Of the what?
Gentiles in Antioch.
Send greetings unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles in Antioch. Once again, the brethren amongst the Gentiles, Gentiles that could believe, could be saved, what have you, with the Israelites among the Gentiles, acting like Gentiles, speaking the Gentiles' language. And we get Romans 9 and 23, about to wrap it up. Romans 9 and 23, more scriptures proving that, once again, the whole letter, the premise of the New Testament is that a people that lost what was given to them will be able to get it back. That's it. Okay. The people it was given to originally were the Israelites. In the Old Testament, the people that can get it back are the Israelites. The white man, you'll be saved for farming duty. Okay, you'll be left alive for laundry detail.
That's right.
You'll be left alive to do to mow lawns, cut grass, and serve hard slavery, hard bondage, like we had to serve. Okay, same thing. East Indian, you'll be kept alive to cook for the heathens. Be a cook, to clean around the house, etc. Wherever you keep them. Okay, that's what you'll be left to do. It's what they'll be left to do because that's what we were left to do wherever we were scattered. Okay. Romans 9 and 23. This message is for the Israelites, you Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, however. You're going to get a kingdom that will never end. You're promised in the New Testament a kingdom that will never end. Just put down cigarettes. Just put down weed. Put down the damn white woman. Put down the whore. Put down the stripper pole. Put down the twerking, man.
That's right.
Put the damn leaves, the damn bushes out of your mouth. Out of that damn, get the cigarette, the long white rod out of your mouth. That's all you have to do. That long white rod out of your mouth. Strap up, put a damn belt on, all black, okay, and come to the I.S.U.P.K, the servants of the Most High. The only servants of the Most High on the planet Earth. The only place you will hear this. Okay, period. I don't care who else says it. They heard it from the I.S.U.P.K here with these breakdowns. Okay, read.
Romans chapter 9, verse 23. And that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory. 24. Even us whom he has called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles.
Not also the Jews, but also the Gentiles. What is that talking about? The Jews scattered amongst the Gentiles. His people scattered amongst the heathen. We get Romans 9:3. How do we know that? Is this Gentiles talking about white people? It's talking about Arabs. It's talking about Africans. Read. Who are these Gentiles? Who are the people that can be brought back? Read.
Romans 9, verse 3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh.
Okay. His brethren, his kinsmen, according to the flesh. Let's see who his brethren and kinsmen are. Read.
For who are Israelites?
Who are who?
Israelites.
Who are who?
Israelites.
Who are white people?
Israelites.
Who are Africans? Read.
Salaki. So Israelites.
They're Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians. Paul is your brother. Paul is a Benjamite or a so-called West Indian Negro. You so-called West Indians, man. Paul was from the same race, it's like the same family as you. Read.
To whom pertaineth the adoption.
To whom pertaineth to who?
The adoption.
To what?
Adoption.
Remember we made that analogy earlier. Someone had, if I wrote a letter to someone, they were beaten up and that letter was stolen from them. Or they lost that letter through disobedience.
Okay.
Right? Or they were kicked out of it, better yet, they were kicked out of a household because of disobedience, or they're out and they didn't have a household. That adoption pertains to them.
Damn right.
They can come, only those people written right there can come back. Who are those people? Israelites. Israelites can be adopted, can be brought back. The adoption pertains to the Israelites. Not the white man, not the Chinese man, not the Arab. You so-called First Nations suffering and stewing in the reservations. You so-called black man in Ajax. You so-called black man in Toronto. So-called Haitian. So-called West Indian. So-called Hispanic man. You could be saved. Keep going.
Turn another one, turn. And the glory and the covenant.
The glory and the covenant, the contract, keep going.
And the giving of the law.
The giving of the law, statutes, and commandments were written for Israel. Psalm 147, 19 through 20. He had his statutes he had given to Jacob. He had not dealt so with any other nation. I'm paraphrasing. Right? The law was given to Jacob, Israel.
Go
ahead.
And the service of God and the promises.
What?
And the service of God and the promises.
And the promises given for those that obey the Most High. I mean what? Those that don't commit sin. 1 John 3 and 4, sin is the transgression of the law. When you eat pork, you sin. When you have sex with a white woman, you sin. When you smoke weed, you sin. When you put a long white rod in your mouth and light it up, call it a cigarette, you sin, man. When you're homosexual, when you're a man dressed like a woman, you sin.
Right.
All right? That is sin, that is transgression of the law. Hold on to that. Do not sin. Do not break the law, statutes, and commandments. Black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man. And you will be adopted, meaning what? Brought into a family.
That's right. Okay,
a family that you were supposed to be in.
Right.
From day one. Right. This family you're supposed to be in from day one. But as it says in 2 Kings 17:22, you were cast out of the Most High's sight. Later on, the so-called Negroes cast out. Though we were cast out of our father's house, we can be brought back into our father's house. Yeah. And it's adopted. Why? Because the contract.
Shalom, Israel. It's going down. It's that time again. Come join us at the 49th annual Passover.
Shalom, this is Captain Ratazar of the I.S.U.P.K. down here in Atlanta, Georgia, inviting you to the I.S.U.P.K's 49th annual Passover. You understand? Passover this year will be held on March 30th at the Roosevelt Ballroom. It's the 2nd Hudson Street, Yonkers, New York. And we inviting all blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians to this year's Passover in the spirit of brotherhood. That's what the Passover is about. That's what the I.S.U.P.K. is about. It's brotherhood. You understand? Me personally, I'm going to be bringing all of Atlanta, Georgia. Captain Malacqua will be bringing out Chicago. Captain Gaddaha will be bringing out all of California. You understand? And we're going to get it in. We're going to get it in the spirit of brotherhood. And in the spirit of brotherhood, you understand? You can't fit the bill. You understand? Passover is $200 per person, per family. If you cannot fit that bill, Commander General YAHANNA will pay it for you. If you need help with transportation, Commander General YAHANNA will pay that for you. You understand? Just contact your nearest camp leader or your captain in your city. You understand? Like I said, I got Officer YAHANNA here with me. I got Officer TITHES, Officer Abaria. You understand? And we're going to be bringing all of Atlanta, all of Georgia to this year's Passover.
Come join us March 30th at sundown.
All Israel is invited
For the 49th annual Feast of the Passover, brought to you by Commander General YAHANNA and the I.S.U.P.K. So you better not miss it. Shalom.